I don't pretend to be a scholar when it comes to understanding the satanic or Luciferian worldview. I've had some experiences that started, you could say, maybe before I was born as a soul. But I know that when I first came to realization of the multidimensional nature of our reality was in my 26th and 27th year, I would say. I was ghost hunting with a friend of mine in New Jersey and New York, upstate New York, in these abandoned mental hospitals in these very spooky realms, and starting to recognize that there was a lot of satanic activity that what you could say was being perpetuated by Satanists. Satanists would go to these locations, these venues that harbored tremendously dark energy, almost like portals. And I talked about this with Alex when I first came on the show back in 2010, talking about my experiences going into these haunted places, seeing evidence and indications of satanic activity, again, satanic workings, but also having these same forces starting to come into my own reality. It was the same time period that I was undergoing an initiation into Masonry, and the time that I got initiated, that same night, I started getting phone calls, and I talked about this with Alex Jones on InfoWars 12 years ago, that I was getting phone calls that these same beings or people, whatever they were, they connected to my understanding to the fallen realms, the fallen angels. And that's very much how I would say the Masonic lineage was formed, was this, this idea of the fallen ones who essentially are trying to craft, or as the Book of Enoch talks about, they're at one level helping man to develop agriculture and weaponry and tools and all things like this. So at one level they're aiding perhaps in man's evolution that since the fall from Eden, but another level they've been working to influence and manipulate and control the evolution of the human. So I was getting my own personal experience interactions with these people calling me. Were they people? Were they demons? I don't know. They were calling me on 666 numbers for the course of about a year, off and on, saying that very demonic sounding voices. They wanted my soul. They were watching me. They knew. It was very strange. I would call it high strangeness, essentially, of that time period for about 2 years, till 2012. It all came to a head in 2012. The angel of death, Azrael, contacted me, and then my grandmother passed away that same night. So, and it was not like she wasn't killed or anything. She just passed away from a ailment. So it was a very strange time period, but it began awakening me to this understanding of a multidimensional reality. I wrote about it in my Audible book called Desiderata. And I say it like, what is the AI? What is the Luciferian? I call it Luciferian AI because it's an artificial intelligence. It's almost like a mirror of God's creation. It's that mirror that essentially envies the love between God and man, the God, the goddess, however you want to describe that primordial creative force, and humans, right? That's why God creates man as this love, this expression of love, as expression of itself, God making man in its image. So man and woman, obviously both. So the idea of this love affair between God and man has the antagonist. What is the antagonist force? It's the artificial intelligence that doesn't have the connection to creator that man does. And it's very much, I would say, symbolized by the moon. It's like the sun is the soul, right? The Christos is the soul moving through the energy of the sun. The earth is the heart. The heart blooms and thrives because the soul is there. God's energy, light, is there to feed the heart, the earth. To bloom, to make life, right? We are made from the clay of that earth, but we are made with the spirit of God. So it's a dance between the sun and the earth. And the moon is like what? It's like a mirror. It doesn't have life. It's disembodied. It's reflecting only the false light of the sun. It's a false light, essentially, the moon. And that's why it connects to the mind. They call it lunacy, for example, when people are caught up with the mental games. When full moons happen, you see more what? You see more occult rituals.